G'day DTC brand ambassadors and welcome to another training video. In this campaign we'll be working with Argyle Prestige Meats, focusing on their 8-mile beef range which is exclusive to Coles. Alright, now for this campaign you actually won't be purchasing the meat yourself. Upon arrival, report to the store manager and they'll be expecting you, so they'll know have the product ready for you to receive. However, you will need to purchase olive oil spray and salt and pepper in a grinder. This should be able to last you the duration of the campaign. Make sure to keep the receipts for these and you'll be reimbursed on the Monday. Equipment and setup. Your brief will have a full list of all the equipment you require. One thing that you'll notice is that you probably will run out of space during the course of the activations. So to make sure that there's room for the sampling tray itself, you can have all your cooking equipment put neatly underneath the table to make room for the samples themselves on a tray. Uniform requirements. You'll be provided with a branded hat and apron, and you'll need to provide your own white collared shirt, black pants and black dress shoes. In this campaign we'll be looking at 3 beef products: Scotch fillet steaks, Merlot pepper sausages and porterhouse steaks. As always, this is a video reference guide only. Make sure to consult your brief for full information. The objectives for this campaign are to encourage trial, to raise awareness and to increase sales. Our target market are all ages and demographics. It's a high quality, competitively priced product, meaning families are able to enjoy the beef alongside people who are buying in order to cook an impressive meal for guests. You'll be using your demonstration table in this campaign, however you won't be using the overhead poster, and as well there won't be any branding posters on the front of the display unit. Alrighty, onto the methodology for the Scotch fillet steak sampling. From the sample piece that you'll be given, you're looking to get 50 samples. So we'll be chopping it into about 1.5 centimetre strips, and then again lengthwise, which should get you about 50 samples all in all to last you for the first third of your shift. Rightio, so we'll get started. This is what a 350 gram steak will look like. The packaging, however, may vary store to store, so just bear that in mind. So once again, we're aiming for 1.5 centimetre slices, upon which we'll be cutting again longwise to get 50 sample pieces all in all. So now we're going to start chopping it lengthwise to get the 50 sample pieces. Alrighty, now this is what about 50 sample pieces will look like. Ready to preheat the skillet to a high heat and also add a bit of oil. The skillet will not take long at all to heat up. Generally it's about 60 seconds is all you need. Once you see the smoke coming up, that means that it's ready. And what you'll be doing is, you'll be adding the steak pieces to the skillet in accordance with foot traffic in your store. The reason why we've chosen the steak to go first is because the steak pieces are okay to have out for a small amount of time on the chopping board, whereas sausages need to be kept in ice and cold because it's sausage meat as opposed to the whole steak meat. Alright, now while the skillet's heating or while the samples are cooking, if people are coming up to you and asking a few questions about the brand, it's a good idea to offer them one of these recipe cards. They're really handy for them to take away and maybe come back later when the sampling is going on. But I think right now the skillet is ready, so let's put on the steak pieces. Great, now we're aiming for medium well on these steaks, which won't take long at all because they are very small pieces. When they do start to brown the tiniest bit, they're good to flip over and they'll be very, very close to being sample ready. Yep, they're starting to look great, so what we're going to do now is we're going to season the samples in the pan with some straight up salt and pepper. Now we've been using these tongs for raw meat, so we're going to keep them separate from the cooked samples. What you can do is actually get the toothpick and straight away have them ready on the sample tray, just like this. And that way we avoid the issue of cross-contamination. In all honesty, there's probably going to be a crowd by now, so you'll probably be handing them straight to the consumer. But make sure that while you are giving out the samples that you're reciting the key messages, which we'll be getting onto shortly, and just really make them wait for the sample because it is a premium product. And it will be worth the wait for the consumers. So this is what it's going to look like when you've got a sample tray of the Scotch fillet steak, and you'll be doing the same procedure for the porterhouse fillet steak as well. For the sausages, they take longer to cook, so you can actually start preparing them while you're sampling or while you're cooking the actual steak pieces themselves. We'll get onto that in a second, but here's a good little visual guide for the approximate size of what the sample should look like. So now onto the Merlot pepper sausages. They will of course have been on display in an ice bucket on your table. We'll be cooking them whole for about 20 minutes and then slicing them into sample pieces inside the skillet and then giving them straight to the general public. So this isn't the actual product. It's the same size, it's about 500 grams. You'll be receiving a different branded product on the day of your shift, but it will be about this size, and this is about how many sausages you'll be having to work with. Cool, so the skillet's still hot from our previous batch, so let's cut them open and put them straight onto the skillet on a high heat. So after you've taken the sausages out of the ice bowl to actually prepare, it's a good idea to have the porterhouse steak on display in the ice bowl. Likewise, now's a good time if you need to get some more ice for the duration of your shift. While the sausages are in there, you kind of duck over to the seafood department and get a bit more. But yeah, it's a good idea to have some kind of branding at all times so that people know exactly what the product is before they sample it. So while you are preparing the food samples and while things are cooking, it's a good idea to communicate our key selling messages. A lot of consumers will be coming up to see what's going on. For this campaign, the key selling messages are: 8 Mile beef is grown locally in central New South Wales. It's also from guaranteed Angus grass-fed cattle. And this also means that the food itself will have a high concentration of omega-3 fatty acids. Alrighty, it's been about 18 minutes, so the sausages I reckon are almost done. We've been turning them as needed. We're going to have a quick check. What you can do to see how the sausages are coming along is to get your knife and your tongs and to cut one of the sausages round about in half. If the colour is uniform all the way through the cross-section of the sausage, that means that they're cooked and ready to go. If they're still a little bit pink in the middle, add a few more minutes just to make sure that they're cooked thoroughly all the way through. So we'll get this little sausage here, and we're just going to cut it a little section over here like this. Yep, it's feeling pretty firm all the way through. And as you can see, just there, definitely cooked, so they're ready to serve. So what you'll be doing again, to avoid cross-contamination, is that you'll be cutting the sausages into 12 pieces per sausage. So that's 12 samples per sausage, 12 samples per sausage itself. And in the pan, you'll be chopping them and then getting the toothpick and putting it straight in the tray to avoid touching the uncooked meat tray as it was. Be very careful as well not to cut too hard because you don't want to scrape off the bottom of the pan and get all that Teflon in your lovely samples. So we're aiming for 12 pieces per sausage. Alrighty, so this is what a sample tray will look like for the Merlot pepper sausages. One thing I forgot to mention, sorry guys, is that you do not season these because they of course have enough seasoning inside. And you will get a lot of product out of the sausages. From a packet and 12 samples per sausage, you'll get 60 plus samples themselves. After these have been sampled through, when it's coming down to the last maybe 1.5 hours-ish of your shift, you'll then be doing the porterhouse steak sampling. And you'll be following the same procedure for the porterhouse steak as did for the Scotch fillet steak at the start of this video. Rightio, now once you've gone through those 3 products, which is again Scotch fillet steak, Merlot pepper sausages, and then porterhouse steak using the same cooking procedure as the Scotch fillet steaks, you'll be coming towards the end of your 4-hour shift. That's when you can start cleaning up, packing up your materials and getting your timesheet signed. One very important thing that we need from you guys is that we do need some photos of you on shift next to the stand, ideally with some consumers if possible. You can make some friends in store to get a few photos with you on the site. And after that's all done, make sure to get your timesheet signed by the store manager, sign out and make sure that those timesheets along with any receipts and photos are sent to DTC by 10 o'clock on Mondays. Thanks for watching guys, make sure to consult your brief for full information, have fun in the campaign and as always, happy selling.